What's up, Brainiacs? It's time for another Speaker Brains with my good buddy, John Short.
And this time, we decided that we're going to take a little break from Zappa, because you have to understand, there comes a point in Frank Zappa's career where it kind of gets a little weak for a while. And you get, like, albums of bad sex jokes and guys singing like this on almost every song. And he just got stuck there for like 5 or 6 years, and we neither of us wanted to deal with that today, so we're doing Lana Del Rey instead.
Yeah, we're just two grown men talking about Lana Del Rey. Oh, yeah. Shit. So what have you been up to the past couple months since we last talked?
Well, I've been mostly doing I've been working on, I have a series that I'm going to allude to when we get to one of the albums, because I have some things to say about how her career was received at the time when she came out and whatnot. Mostly I've just been plugging away at the weekly album series. I kind of had a bit of writer's block with actual written stuff, so I've been avoiding it.
Yeah, that's about how I am with the written stuff. So me and Zach, we've been doing these random album reviews, but we haven't really been consistent with it, and so I'm just trying to. We got so much shit we got to talk about right now. I think Friday, David's gonna join us, and we're gonna talk about the new Tool and Slipknot, and me and Zach still got to talk about that Flaming Lips that came out. And I mean, shit just piles up when life gets in the way. But
it really does. Like, I mean, you want to know the funniest thing to me about, like, because the new Tool, and the new Lana Del Rey dropped the same day.
That's so fucking awesome to me.
If you would have told 2016 John that a Tool album and a Lana Del Rey album would come out the same day, and the 2019 John would like the Lana Del Rey album better, he would. I don't think I would have known what to say to you.
It's crazy though. Like that Tool album has people split. They are either hating on it or they're loving it, and I'm in the latter category. I'm loving it.
See, I don't hate it. What I think about it is something that my buddy Eric said to me just yesterday, which is that I think it's amazing that Tool took 13 years to make this album, and then it seems like the consensus is it's okay.
Yeah, because like I mean, there's amazing things about it, but it's it's what I figured it would be,
Yeah, that was my reaction as well. It was what I thought. It was what I thought it would be. But so how did you get into Lana Del Rey, Travis?
It's a slightly interesting story. I never really, because like I said, I haven't paid attention to mainstream stuff since at least I quit listening to the radio 2008 at least, but most of the mainstream stars were in my brain up until about 2012, and from 2012 on out, I kind of just really quit paying attention. And
you,
huh?
You can hear that sometimes when you all talk about pop music.
Yeah.
Because you'll talk about you sometimes talk about Katy Perry, who has not done anything of note since 2012.
Right, exactly. And we'll still talk shit about artists who were in their prime 6-7 years ago, but I have no idea what's happening now at all. And I'm fine with that, you know? I'm fine with that. Just...
What happens at some point in your life? You just stop listening to new things for the most part.
Yeah, like, if something gets a lot of attention, I'll check it out and be like, it's something I'm like, okay, this is cool, or I'll just be like, whatever, and then maybe a couple years later, I'll check it out further. But, I mean, recently, people have been pining over this Billie Eilish chick, and I checked it out, and it's not for me. But, back on Lana Del Rey, I always kind of saw her name being thrown around, especially at the time Lorde came out. To tell you the truth, I think the last time I was really aware of what was happening in the mainstream was when Weird Al dropped that last album. And because Blurred Lines was everywhere, the Lorde song was everywhere. So what was that, like 2014? I think that's the last time I was aware.
That was like 2013, 2014.
Yeah, that was the last time I was aware of anything happening. And, but I would see Lana Del Rey's name thrown around. And, you know, I was just writing it off as, yeah, it's just some, you know, what the new kids are like and whatever. And then, just a couple years ago, there was all this fuss about, on her Lust for Life album, her one song that was, people were like, oh, it's a Radiohead ripoff. And I'm like, well, if she's ripping off Radiohead, that's cool with me. And then I find out that it's Creep. And I'm like, well, what are y'all bitching about? Radiohead's Creep is a ripoff of another song. And, is it the Hollies?
It is I think it's one of their, like, 70s, like, when they went in that weird direction and, like, did that, I don't even know what the name of the song is, but it's the one where it's like, a long, cool woman in a black dress. That sounds exactly like Creedence Clearwater Revival.
So I'm like...
That's not at all how the Hollies sounded in their prime. It's just like a weird coda to their career.
So I'm like, why are you people bitching and saying, oh, she's ripping off Radiohead? Radiohead ripped off the Hollies, and they had to give credit to the Hollies. So shut the fuck up. And so I checked out the song.
Radiohead don't even like Creep.
Yeah, exactly. Radiohead don't even fucking like Creep. And so... I checked out her song and I was like, you know what? It does sound very similar to Creep in melody, but I'm like, the stuff she's got going on in this song was like really damn interesting to me. I was like, this doesn't sound like your typical pop princess shit. So I was like, okay, you know, maybe she's somebody to check out later down the line. And I just kind of forgot about her until about this time last year. I was at a Goodwill and they had her album Born to Die on vinyl, and I was like, okay, somebody's telling me something, because you never, especially over here, you never find any good vinyl at Goodwill because all the hipsters have already picked it up.
Yeah, it's the same way, and we're more so where you almost don't even find good CDs at Goodwill up here.
Yeah, Zach hits the jackpot a lot at Goodwill. He found the fucking Weird Al Criminal Record box set and a National Lampoon's box set at fucking Goodwill just a couple months ago. I'm like, damn, dude, like, every time Zach hits up a Goodwill, like, he finds some decent shit. But every time I go, it's like Hootie and the Blowfish or, you know, fucking...
We need to do that podcast of, like, the scourge of record collectors. Of, like, your Tracy Chapmans, your late 80s Billy Joel albums, your... that sort of thing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
No, the only reason I ever go to the Goodwills is... once in a blue moon, I'll find a great album that from, like, usually the 90s that everybody had for, like, $2.
Yeah.
Like that Fatboy Slim album I got last spring. Or just random shit I would never pay full price for.
Yeah.
That I probably wouldn't even pay $5 for, but I'll buy it for $2.
Right. Like, seriously. So, I'm like, okay. I don't know shit about Lana Del Rey, but I can't pass up a vinyl record that anywhere else I'm gonna be spending $30 fucking for, when it's over here at Goodwill in decent condition for a fucking $1. So I picked it up and I brought it home and I turned it on and I was like really fucking into it. I'm like, this is some different sounding shit, man. I've been missing out. So then I just instantly went to Amazon and just bought all her shit that you can get. And I've been a fan ever since. And what's so funny is I like to tell everybody, and you know, it's a joke amongst all of us, that I am the male equivalent of the basic bitch. Because, you know, I'll dress the way I dress just to go to the fucking convenience store, and I love all that pumpkin shit. And last year when I was getting into the Lana Del Rey, a buddy of mine, Ryan Zalewski, I think that's how you say his last name, he does YouTube collection videos, and he said, well, if you like Lana, check out Lord. And I'm like, okay, I don't mind the Royal song, so I bought Lord shit, and I was like, damn, this is some good shit too. And so my buddy at work, Jason, this motherfucker, he's gonna be like, dude, if I didn't know any better, I'd swear you were a 14-year-old girl.
See, this is what I don't know, and I don't know if you audience will be able to hear this, but I've been like losing my shit quietly in the background, because you got a picture. You know, Travis is a 32, 33-year-old man in a black suit, top hat, going into a Goodwill to buy a Lana Del Rey album.
Seriously. And that is exactly what it looked like. So, how did you get into Lana Del Rey?
Well, it's not quite the same story, but it's about the same time. You know, you were like, dude, she's really good. And I was like, I know that name, and I had been seeing the Born to Die album cover for years.
Yeah, and she doesn't have really great album covers to me.
She does not have great album covers at all.
I think the Norman fucking Rockwell is probably the more interesting.
I like the Honeymoon, the cover to Honeymoon, and the Norman fucking Rockwell cover. But I've been seeing Born to Die everywhere, and you know, I'm contemporaneous with this because I was in high school when she came out. And so I was like, I'm gonna look at Born to Die, because I always see that cover, and then I look on the back, I'm like, Summertime Sadness. Wait, that was her?
Oh shit.
Because there was a remix of Summertime Sadness. There was like it was like the standard thing of like some Swedish EDM producer made put a beat under the verses and then like made the drop be the chorus, and that remix was that, Royals, and that awful selfie song that who did that song?
Oh, I think the Chainsmokers had a part in that, did they? But you know what, dude? Like, we were just talking about this the other day, man. And Zach was like, man, yeah, fuck that selfie song. And I was like, damn, dude, I like that selfie song. I like the beat. The beat is fucking fire to me.
It's got a good beat, but it is such an obnoxious.
It is.
That I don't know who did the actual band were, but the vocals were like Charlie XCX or something like that. That I Don't Care song.
I have no idea what that is.
Those 3 to 4 songs were like inescapable for like social events for like 3 or 4 years straight.
Oh God, I can believe it.
And you know, it was just. I always liked that Summertime Sadness remix, but I never realized that Lana Del Rey was who did it. So I was like, so maybe I need to be checking this out. And I also have a friend who, in one of our groups of mostly classic rock aficionados, who really likes Lana Del Rey and has been advocating her for a long time. And we would always make fun of him. So I was like, okay, so maybe Straight's onto something here. And so I picked up some of her stuff, and I think, yeah, I like some of her stuff a lot. I think she is like her friend, Father John Misty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love Father John.
In that she can be amazing, but she isn't always. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But, she has one of those weird intro discographies where she has a first album that nobody's listened to.
Yeah, that is something that really intrigues me. So are you ready to get into the retro?
Yeah.
So, Lana Del Rey's first album, alright, now, to put things into context, Lana Del Rey is mostly a character.
Yes.
And her real name is Elizabeth Grant. And in 2010, she dropped an album called Lana Del Rey, aka Lizzie Grant. Horrible name.
Horrible title.
Yeah, horrible title.
Really bad album cover.
Oh, the album cover.
They're all kind of bad, but...
The album cover is atrocious. I mean, it is as basic can get. She's wearing some sort of jacket over a very flashy dress, and she has blonde hair, and looks nothing like what people would know her as. And the album was pulled. It was never released physically. There were promo copies made, but it was released digitally. And then her and her manager, they pulled that shit within like 3 months. So I want to know, how bad is this album? Because she even...
Actually...
She bought the rights.
To a bit of it today.
Yeah?
It's all right. It's I've heard 2 stories. I've heard that the label ran out of money.
Yeah.
And I've also heard that they were embarrassed by it. But it sounds all right. Mostly what it sounds like is that to me, from what little I've heard of it, it sounds like her later stuff, but with like more traditional jazzy singer instrumentation and less of the sort of trashy, dirty, ooh, daddy, do me in the backseat of your 57 Chevrolet pickup truck.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Because I haven't heard anything of it, but I'm sure you could find it on YouTube. But
apparently, though, some of it was reused because the track "Yayo"
is on the Paradise EP.
Is on Paradise. That was originally the closing track of her first album. Yeah,
and I dig the shit out of that. But it's a re-recording, so I have no idea how close to the original it is.
Yeah, and I am curious because when Born to Die came out, they were rolling with this really weird, really bad marketing that was just like flat out wrong. Like there was shit about her allegedly being from a trailer park and whatnot when her parents are like genuinely rich.
What?
Like she's from a rich area of southern New York State, and they were trying to say that she was raised in a trailer park.
Oh.
And so I don't know whether she was doing that at this time, you know.
It almost feels like they put this album out and then had a better idea and said, okay, we need to erase this from existence.
Yeah.
And we need to change your image, and we can make you rich. But that's what it feels like, you know. It's like this needs to not exist, and but she apparently bought the rights back and has been teasing that she wants to re-release it, but has yet to do so. But I'll buy it if she re-releases it, you know.
Yeah.
Just for that completionist in me.
But I mean, I'm also not at all surprised that it, you know, even if they hadn't pulled it, I don't think it would have done well. Because you got to think, you know, 2010.
Yeah.
And look, I like a lot of music from 2010, but 2010 was like the apex of like
club.
Yeah, it was like not only was it what I like to call the club sex era of pop music. But it was like the bling era of popular music as well.
Yeah, it was a very dark time. That's when I've got a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night.
You want to know the sad thing about that track?
What's that?
The very sad thing about that track. That, to me, is probably the only song they ever did that if that's by who I'm thinking it's by, that I can
Black Eyed Peas.
Listen to without turning it off immediately. I don't like it, but it doesn't like make me go like, why do we exist? You know, why is music allowed to exist?
I hate to say it, man, but will.i.am can make some killer ass beats, but the shit that he puts on it sucks so bad. I'll always, to this day, I'll always say Fergie ruined the Black Eyed Peas. will.i.am had a massive part in it, but she ruined that shit, because those first two albums, those are great. But when you add the Ferg turd, it's all over.
But that kind of goes into, that's a good segue into Born to Die, because I don't know how much you read about Born to Die. Born to Die got slaughtered by the critics when it came out.
Really?
Oh yeah, like I'm gonna look at it. I think Pitchfork gave it like a 5, and they were the norm. That was the norm.
Man, Pitchfork like shits on everything. They gave Lateralis a 1.
I like them for some things, but you gotta understand with Pitchfork, they have their prejudices, and they gave it a 5.5. And from what I understand, she put out Video Game, and that was like an indie blow up.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, that song is great, and it is. But then Born to Die came out, and people were like, "What is this overproduced garbage? This isn't the indie I was promised." Because this was like not quite the peak, but like right after the peak of like. I wish I had a better name for it, but the only thing I could think of to call it is the hipster age of music.
Oh yeah. Definitely the hipster age, because there was a sound, there was a production sound to a lot of stuff during the hipster age, and this definitely has a lot of that hipster age sort of production. A lot of reverb. A lot of reverb.
Yeah.
In the hipster age. And I'm not gonna lie, I love reverb. I love things that sound echoey and stuff. But man, that was a production sound that was on everything. Even bands that were completely different did albums like that sounded like that. Cage the Elephant did a hipster sounding album. Like the Cage the Elephant did an album that tried to sound like Magnetic Zeros, you know. And so I don't know. Everybody kind of tried to have this Magnetic Zero sound. And what's even crazy is, you know, even that Mumford and Sons sound. Fucking Wolf Mother just 3 years ago did an album that the whole album sounded like Wolf Mother, you know, cool, sort of classic rocky sounding tunes. But then one song on that album had that fucking Mumford and Sons Magnetic Zero sound with the stomps and the claps and the woes, and I was like, is this a joke or are y'all being genuine here? Because the whole album sounds like Wolf Mother till you get to this song.
Yeah, it was that hipster age, and you could definitely hear it in the production. But that's the attitudes of that hipster age, and that like it's kind of like the pitchfork thing of like indie rock is the only real music. Pop is terrible. Hip hop that isn't MF Doom or is terrible. Like, dude, that's why, like, if you talk to a lot of, like, old school, like, true blue hip hop heads, they don't like MF Doom all that much because he's the only hip hop guy that all the elitist white people in the 2000s thought was any good. But the thing that's fascinating about Born to Die is that nowadays we listen to Born to Die, and the scene has changed.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we're like, this is a pop album.
Yeah, but it is cut from a completely different cloth as far as pop, especially like to me it was ahead of its time.
Oh, definitely.
From when you put into context all the kind of shit that was coming out, even that hipster stuff in 2012. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't mind that hipster sound, but even with the hipster stuff on here, like the sound of this album with the orchestra kind of music with slight dance beats in the background. It's a weird. God, how am I trying to say this? It's a weird
trip hop.
Yeah, there you go. Some trip hop in there. It's a weird merger of things that were happening at the time and things that haven't really been done in ages.
Yeah, and that's what I like about Lana Del Rey is that this album, like, the way I see it, she has 3 distinct styles that she's done on her various albums. The first one is this sort of, and what Born to Die is this sort of Frank Sinatra meets Portishead with hints of hip-hop thrown in there.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying there.
And then the second one, which we'll get to when we talk about her most recent album, when we talk about Ultraviolence, is the guitar pop, and then I don't know what Lust for Life is, but we'll get there.
Oh man, but yeah, like the album to me starts off great because Born to Die is really good. Off to the Races is really good. I love Blue Jeans. Blue Jeans I love because it has that West Coast driving on the mountainside feel to it. Like anything that has that cool Western guitar lick in there, I'm fucking all about.
Oh, is that the one that has like those steel guitar moments?
I don't know about steel guitar, but more like surf guitar.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forget the names of the tracks on this albums.
But yeah, it's got these cool fucking surf guitar twangs in there. And people want to complain about her ripping off Radiohead. For some reason, Blue Jeans reminds me so much of Chris Isaak's Wicked Game. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I get what you're saying. I just listened to a snippet of it. I get what you're talking about.
Yeah, it sounds very similar to that, and which I'm not going to complain because I like the shit out of Chris Isaak and the Wicked Game track. But that's what it vibes with me, is that sort of, you're either by yourself or you're with a lady and you're driving on a mountainside in the Big Sur.
Pacific Coast Highway.
Yeah.
See, what I love about this album and some of her albums is that, like, from here to Honeymoon, you can, like, make an arc of, like, where the Lana Del Rey character is. Of, like, on this album, the Lana Del Rey character is in New York City living with some bum and wishing she was in California.
Yeah, and that is definitely heard on video games, because you know what's so fucking... I love video games. Not because I've dealt with this personally, because, you know, I'll play video games, but, you know, if my lady's undressing in front of me, you know, I'm turning the fucking game off. I'm sorry. But I have known people who the video games are their life, and when their lady friend is rubbing on them and touching them, their mind and eyes are still focused on the TV, and I'm like, dude.
What are you doing here, man?
I mean, fuck, that achievement. That achievement can wait, bro.
See, what I love about that is that it is such like a cute, sweet song about being hopelessly in love with just a complete layabout.
Yeah. I like it when her shit gets real mean-spirited. I like it when her shit gets real fucking mean-spirited and just kind of like, I could be doing better shit right now.
That's just hilarious to me. Off to the Races, it has this bit with it. Oh, I love it, but it is so annoying to me.
The vocal part where it's like,
Well, yes, but the bit before it where she's like, 'cause I'm so crazy. And I'm like, yes, I see. And then the, like, really high pitch.
yeah,
Stuff right after that.
the going to the races.
The verse is kind of it's annoying too, because she tries to sing in a lower register and it doesn't really work for me. One thing I notice about this album that gets dropped on every other album is, like, there's a real, like, hip-hoppiness to it.
Yeah, and I don't mind that, but it sort of...
It gets old.
Yeah, to me it sort of doesn't... To me, it's real heavy on this one, and then sort of kind of goes away until the Lust for Life kind of overdoes it for me.
Lust for Life way overdoes it, but, like, I'm not even talking about any, like, the rapping. I'm like, this sampling and, like, the weird background vocals at times.
Yeah.
Like, you'll hear, like, some sort of distorted, hey, and
yeah.
it's not fit.
Yeah, and like I said, the album starts off great, man. From Born to Die to Diet Mountain Dew, I'm loving it. But when I get to National Anthem can go. It to me is such a... I get it, alright? I get it. Tell me I'm your national anthem. Basically, tell me I'm the best thing, you know? But it has such a 2012 kind of vibe.
It does.
Where it's like, it's like Firecracker in a way, where it's like, let me use a metaphor an outlandish kind of metaphor where, you know, Firecracker's about, you know, be you, but National Anthem is about, you know, tell me I'm pretty, or tell me you love me, you know, but...
For some reason, my brain and they're not connected, but, like, for some reason, I was just thinking of, like, the National Anthem as, for some reason, connected to that one... What is that one whole song? Is it Celebrity Skin? Which is
Oh, make me over,
yes. Which is another song that I like it, but it annoys me.
Yeah, dude, I love that whole album, but damn it, it is so nowhere near as good as Live Through This. Like, nothing on that album is as good as Live Through This. But there's something about the polish on it that I like.
Wrote almost all of it.
Who's that?
And you could tell that Billy Corgan wrote basically that whole album.
Oh yeah, you talking about Live Through This?
No, I'm talking about Celebrity Skin. Like, that has his finger. That album has Billy Corgan's fingerprints all over it.
It damn sure does, because they say him and Kurt Cobain wrote a lot of Live Through This. And what's crazy is, you're right, both albums, you can tell it's got Billy Corgan on it, because Live Through This has that early 90s Billy Corgan vibe, and fucking Celebrity Skin has that adore Billy Corgan vibe.
Well, I was thinking about this. Don't ask me why I was thinking about this. Of, like, even, like, in the Celebrity Skin song, the delivery is the way Billy Corgan would sing it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Like, and between that and the, like, the lines about a living study in demonology, that's a Billy Corgan lyric. That is not a Courtney Love lyric.
Oh, shit.
But we're not here to talk about Courtney Love.
Yeah, but yeah, National Anthem just annoys me with that, tell me I'm your national anthem. Like, oh, this... Yeah. You're not doing it for me. But then,
that is so 2012, though.
Yeah, but then it comes back with Dark Paradise and Radio. Fucking love those two songs.
Carmen.
Yeah, Carmen and Summertime Sadness. Like, I mean, really, to me, the only song I can do without is National Anthem.
For some reason, I was listening to this full album again at some point last week, and the observation about Carmen I was making is that if I were ever going to do this, and if I were ever going to review this album full blown, I would make one of those cheap jokes about, I liked this much better when it was called All the Young Girls Love Alice and Elton John was singing it. But yeah, and then there's the original version of Summertime Sadness, which I like a lot. It's a very different song than the remix.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, very, very different.
I just love the sort of mean-spirited vibe to her shit, and the sort of down and out and depressing vibe a lot of her shit gives out. Because even like when you take the races and shit, and she's talking about fucking whenever, even in other songs, when she's talking about partying and getting fucked up and jewelry and shit, there's this sort of depressive vibe where it's like, I want to get out of this, but I am trapped. You know, it's almost like she's not.
Yes.
It's almost like she's not celebrating that lifestyle in a way, and I really like that. I really like that a lot. Instead of it being like, I love this lavish shit, but hers is more like, I'm addicted to this lavish shit, and like, I'm gonna be in a fucking gutter if I don't stop hanging out with these older dudes.
And speaking of older dudes, that's a good way to segue into Paradise.
Paradise, man. I actually like Paradise a lot more than... Well, first, what would you rate Born to Die?
Born to Die is like... It's like a high 6 or a low 7.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm gonna go with a 7. I'm gonna give it a 7. It's got just enough tracks that either annoy me or that I get bored with. Because I don't remember a lot of, like, there's a stretch at the end of the album that I don't remember at all.
Yeah, like I said, once you hit National Anthem, you start tuning out, and then you kind of come back in.
I like Dark Paradise. I like the whole rest of the album, but, like, Million Dollar Man, I don't remember that at all. This Is What Makes Us Girls, I probably should remember, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
So that's like a weak 7.
Yeah.
How would you rate it?
I can definitely. Originally, I was gonna give it like an 8 because I can listen to the whole thing through with only skipping National Anthem. But now that you're saying that, I do not remember the last couple tracks, and so yeah, I might have to go with a 7 as well. Because normally when I rate something, if it'll be a 10 if I can listen to the whole thing all the way through without skipping a track and I can remember it all. And so yeah, now that I don't really remember some of the tracks and I can skip National Anthem all the way, I can definitely throw down a 7, which is not bad because it's still above average, but like to me, things kind of get better from here, and then you kind of hit a small low point.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am with it too. But, so Paradise, I actually have Paradise on vinyl.
Rad.
Which I got mostly because I did not want to have to buy Born to Die all over again.
Yeah, because I've got the Paradise EP separately, but they do have that version where it's the Born to Die Paradise edition, where it's like both albums put together or whatever.
And with, I think, like a couple of bonus tracks to Born to Die as well that supposedly make the album better. But Paradise is one of those, and we have both talked about this, very substantial EPs.
Oh yeah. This feels more like a decent album than an EP. It's I put it on par with is it Monster from Lady Gaga, where
the Fame Monster, that is so much better than the Fame.
Yeah, man, way fucking better. Where it's like I can dig the Fame, but Monster really gets to the Lady Gaga stuff I love. Like I can listen to Monster all the way through, and I'm probably into 1/4 of the Fame album, and it's similar with this.
Just come out and say it. That's the best Lady Gaga release.
Yeah, like really, like Monster's my favorite Lady Gaga with Born This Way right next to it, and after that I'm kind of Yeah. Look at us grown men talking about.
What?
Look at us grown men talking about Lana Del Rey and Lady Gaga and Lord and shit.
So Paradise. This is later the same year.
Yeah, and
as Born to Die, and that's something I really like about Lana Del Rey compared to most of the other people this decade. Is that she releases a lot of music.
Yeah, and then she'll like take a break. And in fact, speaking of that, I just read right before we started this podcast, when I'm looking at her discography, she has an album coming out next year that she's already announced.
Yeah, White Hot Forever, I think is what it's going to be called.
And I'm like, all right, I can totally dig some more Lana Del Rey this quick.
Well, there's that, and then supposedly there's probably going to be a new Fleet Foxes album next year, so...
That'd be nice.
I was figuring we were going to have to wait 6 years again, but...
But yeah, Paradise I love way more than Born to Die. Paradise really... And Paradise really jumps on the more Nancy Sinatra kind of shit.
Yes.
Most of I want to say just about all the sort of dance beats are just gone. It's pretty much slow jam orchestrations and dirtier lyrics in a way. This is phenomenal, man. Fucking really good album. And Cola has... I always have these songs where I'm like, these have the greatest opening lyrics ever. And Cola is one of them with the, my pussy tastes like Pepsi Cola. I'm like, whoa. 11-year-old girls are buying this album, girl.
Yeah, imagine not knowing about... Imagine, like, and I know that you had a friend who did something like this with another album back in the day. Imagine you're a good Christian person.
Oh, yeah.
And you buy this album, and you know, I think there's an F-bomb in Ride, but, you know...
Yeah, there's an F-bomb in Radio, too.
Who cares about that these days? But you missed that, and then... The second track, the third track comes on and it's just that line.
Yeah, I mean... Oh my god. Yeah, that's a great opening line. It just sets the fucking stage for what's going on in this track.
My favorite thing about that is that later on, after Me Too became a thing, apparently she went back and was like, oh... Maybe I shouldn't perform this live anymore. Because the whole song is kind of about predatory older men.
Yeah.
No, yeah, the whole thing pretty much is good. I really like Ride. Like Ride, the first time I heard this album, when it got to Ride, I was like, this is a Stevie Nicks song.
Ah.
Like, this could be on a Fleetwood Mac album.
I can dig it.
And then American is kind of in that national anthem bit where I like it, but it sometimes annoys me.
Yeah, let me turn American on really quick so I can see what you're talking about here.
Like you're so pretty.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's one I can... It's better.
That annoys me a little bit.
It is better than the national anthem to me, but
oh,
yeah.
No, it's way... This whole EP raises the bar, like, massively.
Yeah, it really does. And yeah, American, I won't say I can do without, because I can listen to American, but yeah, that ooh is just not doing it for me. But yeah, Body Electric, Blue Velvet.
That's great.
Man, Gods and Monsters. This is a great fucking little release, man.
The one thing, Yayo, I like Yayo, but it makes me laugh, partially because I have always had this idea that will probably never come to fruition, but I've always had this idea of, like, you take an album of songs that were love songs that were originally sung by women.
Yeah.
And then you put male vocals on them, and you don't change the pronouns.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a thing when...
I think that's a great idea, partially because I think that connects to Yayo, because some of the lines in that just, like, what is the bit about putting on a show for you, Daddy? That always makes me laugh.
Yeah.
I just can't take it seriously. I don't know why.
And it's weird, because I actually... Later on, we'll get to this with her cover of Doing Time. I love the fact that she doesn't change the pronoun with me and this girl, we got this relationship. I love that, because it's something that all right, it was something heavily done in the early 2000s when you get Joss Stone's cover of I'm in love with a girl. She changes it to I'm in love with a boy, and it never bothered me all that much. I was like, whatever. But then a couple years ago, when I started checking out Dollskin, and when they do the cover of Woman from Wolfmother, I'm like, okay. For some reason, like, I was like, I love, because, I mean, what are you gonna do? Man, you are a man, you are a, you know what I mean? Like, you can't fucking, sometimes you can't change that shit. And I was like, you know what? It would be awesome if men would do covers of love songs, like you just said. I was like, that would be
and
fucking...
it doesn't have to be men. You could do what Dollskin did and do it with women as well. Just give us some, part of me is like,
I'll put on a show for you,
it's
Mommy.
changing the integrity of the song, but the other part of me is like, gay people deserve love songs too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, and then Bel Air is really good. The one comment I will make, I think this might be my least favorite cover of hers after her debut.
Yeah, the album cover. I like it because of the background, and the colors.
It's just so bare bones.
Yeah, it's so bare bones, and I call it to me, the thing is it annoys me when an album cover is just the person on there.
Yeah.
And it annoys me worse when the band or artist always started off with great album covers and then went to just this, like Marilyn Manson for one, always had
Frank Zappa.
Yeah, really cool album covers, and then the past several Marilyn Manson albums have just been him on there. I'm like, this is so uninspired from a guy who had a really cool imagination.
All of them, other than that first one, are his face.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, and fucking, but they were still, like, interesting with fucking, he looks cool on Smells Like Children, and it looks cool on Antichrist Superstar and Hollywood, but...
Yeah, actually, to connect, if he had kept going where he was going in, like, 2015... the stuff he was doing, like, on The Pale Emperor kind of reminds me of Lana Del Rey, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you know what? I can see that. Which, I'm very hopeful for this new one, man, because, with Shooter Jennings producing it and all, because...
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to it to be like, what is this?
Yeah, because, I mean, what a pairing, because when they did that, Cat People, David Bowie cover, I loved it. And that's another reason I was so disappointed with Heaven Upside Down, was because I was like, oh, you are onto something with this fucking Cat People cover. What are you doing, man? And so just the fact that Shooter Jennings is producing this whole album with him, I'm like, alright, let's see. Because even Marilyn Manson did a fucking great cover of God's Gonna Cut You Down from Johnny Cash. And
oh, yeah, I heard that at some point.
And I'm like, damn it, dude, if you can just throw a little bit of this southern shit in your stuff, man, you're sounding great to me. But yeah, anyway, this album cover, this Lana Del Rey, I like the colors and I like the background, but yeah, it's so bare bones. There's nothing. There's Lana Del Rey, just sort of looking uninterested with pop.
Looking very bored with you.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess in a way, what could that say? I mean, she's in paradise, alright, technically.
And she's bored.
Yeah, she's fucking bored. So now she needs to go find some more 40-year-old men and money and more fucking Bacardi and drive around in Bugattis.
So how do you rate Paradise?
Paradise, okay. I give EPs a 1 through 5.
Oh.
Yeah, because, it's a half album. And, full albums get 1 through 10. So as far as the EP rating goes, I give it a full-on 5 because of it being a substantial EP. I mean, it's 33 minutes long. That's standard album time for...
That's an album. That's an album in the 60s.
Yeah, I mean, for real. And so it's a definite 5 because all of it, I can listen to it all the way through, and everything is pretty memorable. I might have a complaint about the oohs in American, but it doesn't annoy me, and it's pretty early on the album, so
yeah,
if it was halfway through or whatever, I would be a little more like, oh, I just went through all these great songs, and now there's this song with an annoying part. But yeah, definitely 5 out of 5 EP wise. Very substantial, and to me, like I said, way better than Born to Die. And to me, it's one of those essential releases where, like, I'm sure 9 out of 10 people, or average people who listen to this lady, probably haven't even really checked this out.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be interesting to see. So my rating for it, using that scale, is it's like a 4.8.
True.
I gotta, like I said, there's 1 or 2 things that annoy me, so I gotta ding a point or 2.
Yeah.
But it's only decimal stuff, so.
Yeah, a 4.8 for 1 out of 5. Still fucking good ass rating.
So this is the point where 2 things happened with this record. First off, this is where critics started to be like, oh, okay, maybe she's got something here.
Yeah, maybe she's got some substance.
But this is also where the critics got really sick of the lyrical thing. And if you notice, she pretty much drops what I was talking about. She never entirely drops the dirtiness, but she drops the really overtly trashy. She drops that stuff for a while after this.
Yeah.
What?
Huh? No, I didn't say anything.
But anyway, speaking of critical reappraisal, ultraviolence.
Yeah, ultraviolence is probably my number 1 favorite album, and it's a big toss-up now with Norman fucking Rockwell. But as far as favorite albums from her right now, it's Ultraviolence and Norman fucking Rockwell.
Yeah, for me, Ultraviolence, Honeymoon, and Norman fucking Rockwell are pretty much all the same. It's just about which one I turn on more.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a quantum leap. Up from the debut, or not the debut, this is such a leap from Born to Die.
Oh yeah.
And I would argue
if you're not,
it's even,
if you don't count Paradise, and then you just go from Born to Die to this, completely different stuff going on.
oh yeah, and I would argue it's even slightly an improvement over Paradise.
Oh yeah, definite improvement over Paradise.
It's a great album. On the one hand, there is kind of a temptation to be because this is when she started to get better reviews, and this is all. But that was also when, this is like when that hipster era we were talking about was dying.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of it still there.
Yeah, this was definitely the peak of hipster era.
I would argue this is the tailspin of the hipster era. That this is
the dying breath.
This is like the death rattle of it.
Yeah, I could feel that too.
You could almost, like, if you could snark and be like, it only got good ratings because it has guitars on it.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. That's a big aspect of why I love this album so much. Because there is nothing before or after her stuff that sounds like this album to me, music-wise, because this takes that aesthetic, but throwing guitars on it totally fucking works for me, and the guitars aren't overpowering at all. Like,
what it reminds me of is that it's like you're putting two aesthetics together that don't really belong in people's minds. Like, it's like when Beck, like, my favorite Beck album is Midnight Vultures. Yes, Midnight Vultures.
Yeah, that's so
because he's
fucking
just
good.
Throwing like country guitars in with like funk tracks,
yeah,
hip hop beats,
electro funk with banjo licks. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like it's like, even though Old Town Road is not super my thing, I like it. It's not really my thing. I kind of respect that Old Town Road was able, Lil Nas X was able to look at that and be like, why can't rap and country go together?
Yeah, because one thing is, I'm not a big fan of Old Town Road, but it's more interesting than the actual country hip hop that's rising right now.
Oh yeah.
Where it's just the white country guy rapping about standard country shit, all serious, with a hip hop background and banjos. And it's so, like, Struggle Jennings, fucking, I do not like that shit, that style at all. But Old Town Road is interesting because, in a way, it's playing it up for laughs. I mean, it's not taking itself serious, and it's having fun, So, totally get that, because, man, that mainstream country will always be 20 years behind what's already happened. And for them to 15 years ago, they had slight crossovers with Nelly and Tim McGraw and all that, but they've always, for 15 years, they've tried to make hip hop and country work, and it never caught on.
Been able to do it.
Yeah, they did that Cowboy Troy shit for a minute, and just awful. And 20 fucking years later, almost, they finally get some younger guys doing hip hop with country, and it sucks. It's awful. But yeah, they're always like 20 years behind what everything else is doing. So they're just now hitting the new metal of country in a way.
But yeah, so what I was getting to about this being the death rattle of indie, like, to me, like, 2011, 2012 are like the peak of that pitchfork indie hipster thing.
I totally feel you on that.
And then 2013 is this huge transition year. Lorde came out, like, 5 or 6 artists who had not put out anything for like decades came back, because you had Daft Punk and David Bowie and My Bloody Valentine. All crawled out of the woodwork and put out albums, and that was the year, that third Vampire Weekend album, I will always say, is like, I think that third that Modern Vampires of the City is like the last great, or not great isn't good, even though I do like it, but the last huge indie album possibly that ever was. where you know it was the last time an indie album was what everybody held up and was like, this is the best album of the year.
Yeah, I totally feel you on that, because 2013 was a big transition year.
And then 2014, you're full-blown into, like, the poptimism thing. You know, that's the year that...
And that was the year...
Sia finally started making pop, started, you know, broke into the mainstream, and a lot of artists sort of shifted towards pop. That was, I think, towards the end of 2014 is when that big Taylor Swift pop album came out.
Yeah. And that's when EDM became huge again. And
well, it was different EDM. It wasn't the club EDM. It was like that retro 80s thing got huge.
Yeah, I call it that the Electric Daisy Carnival kind of stuff got huge. The dubstep was massive at this point. Artists like Britney Spears and Beyonce were throwing dubstep into some of their shit. Like this was like peak dubstep era and EDM era.
And this is also when, because I've been working on this series where it's going to be kind of like what you all's year-end lists used to be, but in retrospect.
Yeah, I've wanted to do something like that where I'm like, my favorite albums of, 2011, 2006, kind of like.
Yeah, and I started in 2011 because 2010 is still kind of in the 2000s, honestly, stylistically speaking.
Yeah.
And I've been going through and you remember when Kanye gave that interview that everybody, there have been like 10 Kanye interviews that everybody hates on, but the one where he's like, we're the new rock stars now.
Yeah.
And looking back on it, he's right. He was totally right.
Yeah, like, to me, I'm not one of those people who are like, oh, that's so fucking stupid, like, blah, blah, blah. But I get what he says, because rock, not as far as the rock genre, but as far as being the next big thing, because...
Well, also, the people who would have listened to rock 20 years ago are listening to hip-hop now.
Yeah.
The people who are looking for, like, an aggressive sort of... even though there is a lot of great female rock, aggressive, stereotypically masculine thing to listen to, they're listening to hip-hop now.
I can see that.
But anyway, so all kinds of flux happening. There was nothing in 2014 that sounded like this.
Yeah, I always kind of call it that after, like, the big thing kind of ends, there's always, like, a small period when 4 or 5 different things are happening at once, and everybody's just waiting to see which is the next big thing. And
yeah,
that was definitely happening here. That's another thing we talk about with in between 96 and 99. That was kind of happening.
Yeah, 2014 is definitely the 97 of
the
2010s. It's the what's happening here. Let's try and figure that out by throwing all kinds of things at the wall. And
yeah, definitely. And we're in a weird way, we're kind of in a pool of that again right now.
Yeah, 2017 and 2018 were definitely like if we want to follow the 90s. 2017 and 2018 are definitely, and maybe even part of 2016 are definitely like the nu metal years, where the mainstream kind of sucks, even relative to what it was before.
Yeah, where everything's kind of around 2015. They kind of figured out what they were gonna follow, and stuck with it for a couple years. And right now we're in a slight flux. Because in a way you can say Billie Eilish is the new Lord.
Whatever the next paradigm shift is, we're we're pretty close to it.
Yeah, we're definitely close to it. And I'm only, you know what? I almost bet you there's going to be a lot more rock in this next paradigm shift, based off of how much heavy metal has really reigned this year.
Maybe so. I am hopeful that we're gonna see more interesting things happening.
Yeah,
but,
stuff we've never heard before.
Back to ultraviolence.
Yeah, back to ultraviolence. I love these deep conversations about the music scene. But yeah, ultraviolence. Yeah.
So the first time I heard this, it's funny because I actually had the opposite reaction that you did. The very first time I heard this, I did not like it all that much. It actually, to be honest, to make a weird connection, it reminds me of how I reacted when I heard that third Vampire Weekend album for the first time. Because when I first listened to that album, I was like, why did they drop the world beat? But it was only on repeated listenings that you appreciate the songwriting for the songwriting.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened to me here.
Definite
now, I
grower.
think it's great. You know, like I said, I think it's in the running to be her best album.
Yeah.
But at the time, it just kind of, it didn't do it for me.
Fucking. So what year was this when you were checking this out? Was it last year?
Oh, this was last year.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
I didn't hear, Summertime Sadness aside, and oddly enough, a track we'll get to on Honeymoon aside, I don't think I heard anything of hers at the time it came out.
Yeah, neither did I.
And that's always been like a thing with her, that she has always existed just under the mainstream.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like she's in the mainstream. She's part of the mainstream. She's buddies with a lot of people in the mainstream. And she tours with them. But she's, I think, video game and maybe one other. She's had like one other big hit, probably the Summertime Sadness remake or remix. I think that's all she has as far as major hits goes.
Interesting, because yeah, you're right. She is definitely in the public eye, but you mostly hear people talk about her as opposed to the music she puts out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is a point. But yeah, this, because I didn't get around to listening to this again, I actually listened to this again this morning. And it was really good album. Cruel World is great.
Oh yeah.
Ultraviolence is great. Shades of Cool. Brooklyn Baby, West Coast. I love that she is self-aware enough that she literally named a track Sad Girl.
Yeah. Yeah. And keeping with the dirtiness, I love Fucked My Way to the Top.
Yes!
When I heard this last year, because I bought her stuff not in chronological order, because I had bought, when I went to the CDs, I bought Born to Die and Lust for Life, and then Paradise, and then this, and Honeymoon. And when I got to this, I was like, already she's given me the my pussy tastes like Pepsi Cola. She's already dropped a couple F-bombs, but I was like, damn, she's got a straight up song about how she fucked her way to the top, and she's owning that shit, And I'm sure she didn't fuck her way to the top, but to write a song about it, I'm like, fucking you go, man. Fucking that's rad as fuck.
Well, it's like we've said, there's it's a lot of it is a persona.
Yeah, exactly. And this album, just the way that it mixes her sounds with the guitars, it's the guy from the Black Keys
Yeah, it is. I didn't realize that. And the thing about the Black Keys is that they're a band where, you know, as again, I think it's my friend Eric who's said this, and it's a point. The Black Keys are in a lot of ways they're the last rock band. Like they were the last rock. They were the last, commercially speaking, they were the last rock band of any real significance.
Yeah, I can see that, definitely.
But they are such an underwhelming band, to me at least.
Yeah, it is very underwhelming, because I wound up buying a bunch of their stuff from my buddy Charlie a couple months ago, and I dig it, but to me the best album is the one that they just came out with. That's the one where I'm like, this is some really good shit on here.
Well, the thing with that is that you know, with Danger Mouse, you know, and that being said, I know that, you know, arguably the point where he started working with them is the point where Danger Mouse stopped being cool pop producer Danger Mouse and became boring dad rock producer Danger Mouse.
Yeah, you know, for several years there, I was like interested in anything that Danger Mouse had a part of, and then all of a sudden he just kind of, like you said, just kind of lost that interesting sound.
But the thing with that is, with him being involved, I went into, like, Brothers and El Camino. I was thinking, you know, it's Danger Mouse. He's going to put, like, some badass hip-hop beats with cool blues rock. Because that would be amazing, you know, blues trip-hop would be just wonderful, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's not what those albums sound like at all.
Yeah, they just are underwhelming.
So I'm gonna come out and say, and this probably won't be a hot take for the Lana Del Rey fans, but it may be a hot take if we have any Black Keys fans. I'm gonna say this is the best thing that Dan Auerbach has ever been involved with.
And I'm not gonna lie, his guitar work on this album is much more interesting than his guitar work in the Black Keys, and that's because it's very subdued on here. It's not the forefront, you know. It's there for the music, and it's there for background. Where Black Keys is all about riffs and solos, and you know, Lana Del Rey, it's all about those vocals. You know, Lana Del Rey is still the front thing here, and the guitars are just an added layer to the.
And what I loved when I was listening to this is that that what I was starting to say before we went off on that tangent about Beck, the aesthetic clash between the jazz singer vocals and the alt rock kind of instrumentation.
Yeah.
Those are, you know, you don't hear. It's like, again, it's kind of like some of what's good about her earlier stuff, even though 90s trip hop, a lot of that is all about jazz vocals and adding that to hip hop. It's just such an interesting vibe, and nothing sounds like this in the mainstream.
Yeah.
For something like this to be something that teenage girls were going to listen to, you know, that's something I have a lot of respect for.
Definitely.
Because teenage girls deserve better music than they get most of the time.
Oh, isn't that right? Oh, God. Oh my God.
But yeah, so what are your highlight tracks from this album?
Highlight tracks, definitely. Really, the ones I go to is from Cruel World, Ultraviolet, Shades of Cool, Brooklyn Baby, West Coast, and then fucking Money, Power, Glory, Fuck My Way to the Top, Old Money. I really love the whole album.
This album and the next one are very easy to listen through to the whole thing.
Yeah, all the way. There's nothing on here that annoys me at all. And, you know, like, she doesn't do anything with her voice that annoys me. That ooh shit isn't in here. it's even, in many ways, it feels even more mean-spirited and depressing in some spots, which
Yeah.
which I really dig. I mean, this is definitely an album for the emos.
You know, I was thinking about that earlier today, and I was thinking about, do I want to mention that? But since you've mentioned that, I will. Lana Del Rey has always struck me as being like, obviously we weren't into the emo thing, but or obviously you weren't because you've talked about it several times. I just did not consciously listen to new music in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Like, I listened to it when it came on the radio and when my parents played stuff, but I did not go out and seek new music in the 2000s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wasn't into that stuff. But this very much strikes me as, like, her stuff strikes me as, like, the target audience is people who were super into My Chemical Romance and Panic at the Disco when they were, like, 8.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's weird. This album, you know, she has her ideas of what she wanted it to sound like, but to me, I'm like, this almost sounds like Lana Del Rey kind of trying to be like The Cure.
Yeah. Well,
Which, not gonna lie, I used to shit on The Cure, but I bought a bunch of Cure albums from my buddy a couple months ago, and I'm like, damn, you know what? There's some really good shit here.
I've only got, I think it's pornography.
I have Disintegration, which I highly recommend. And it was like 5 or 6, maybe 7 fucking Cure albums I bought from
They
them.
have so many
Oh,
albums.
dude, so fucking many. But let me see.
Because that's another band where I love The Cure, but like sometimes I just have to laugh.
Yeah, some of it a lot of it doesn't do it for me, but then albums here and there.
On the Cure album I have where Robert Smith is like, "Oh, we'll never be clean again," and I'm just like, I just can't help myself. I gotta laugh every time I hear it.
Oh yeah, but I mean, this definitely isn't Lana Del Rey trying to be The Cure, but I get vibes. I'm like, you know, if you're a Cure fan, pick this album up. But look at the album cover, all right? What do you think about
it? It is such a lame album cover.
It's just her again, but I like the black and white. The black and white.
I like that there's like a running theme in all of her album covers up to Lust for Life. That there's a vehicle of some kind.
Yeah, totally.
Like she's standing behind a pickup truck in Born to Die and Lust for Life. I actually think it's the same pickup truck. And she's in a car in Honeymoon, and she's in a car in this.
And then, have you seen the Urban Outfitters exclusive album cover?
Yeah, that's also not a great cover, but it's a little better.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like, it's her knee. And she's playing with the threads.
I also like the alternate. Have you seen the alternate cover for Norman fucking Rockwell?
No.
It's her and somebody else, and I think actually Father John Misty's wife.
No.
At some sort of like an altar-looking thing. Because she is, I think, Wiccan, so...
Really? What?
There's that, or something like that.
Wow.
I remember just after Trump got inaugurated, there was something about her putting a hex on Trump, and apparently Mike Pence took it seriously, and it was...
That's
so
a way better album. That's like her best album cover. I'm looking at it now.
So much surreal stuff has happened in the last 3 years that I sometimes lose track of whether things were real or not.
I know.
But, to go back to a more saner time that was 2014, or what now seems like a more sane time, I'm sure at the time we didn't think that way.
Yeah. At the time,
Yeah,
things were putting the stuff that's going on today were being put in motion in 2014.
all of the issues we're building.
Yeah, and
Yes,
you can definitely tell if you watched that year's season of South Park.
Yeah, and just in general, like a lot of pop culture from the early 2010s, you can see it coming
Yeah.
in a way that we didn't at the time. But so how would you rate Ultraviolence? Because I would rate it. It's gotta be like. It's either an 8.5 or a 9, and I don't know which one I'm going to give it.
It's a 10 for me. Definitely
Yeah,
10.
I think I'll give it a 9. I'll give it a 9.
Because it's definitely it's a toss up between my favorite album from her and Norman fucking Rockwell and with Honeymoon in there, but like this one, man, I just love the way it sounds. That guitar, for some reason, the guitar in there really gels with her style.
Yeah. It does, and it's like I said, it's that clash. It sounds different. It sounds interesting.
And I'm sort of sad that she doesn't. This is the only one like this.
Well, I'm glad that she's gone back to sort of that style for the new album.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same. It's I thought a little more like almost shoegazy.
Yeah, very shoegazy. This one's very shoegazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We'll get to that when we talk about Venice Bitch.
Oh man, yeah. Fuck yeah.
So, 2014, from June 13th of 2014 to September of 2015. That is like no time at all in modern pop terms.
Yeah, that is, when you've barely got a year, maybe a year and a couple months spanning between releases, a lot of artists that do that consistently, I get fairly bored with.
I agree.
But for some reason, Lana Del Rey's one that kind of makes that work, because she'll take like a 2 to 3 year break and then might release 2 within a year. That's what it kind of seems like at this point, now that she's talking about a new one coming out next year. But yeah, barely, just a couple months over a year, and
so now we got Honeymoon, and I know I said that, Ultraviolence, Honeymoon, and Norman fucking Rockwell, very, very even albums. It would be fun to tally up how many times we say fuck in this video because of that title.
Oh yeah.
Like to make a count of how many times that word gets used when we're saying the title of the album. But I'm gonna say this is probably my favorite of hers.
Yeah?
So yeah, it is, and maybe it's the classic pop, like the 50s pop.
It goes for that
vocal jazz kind of Sinatra thing, the Billie Holiday.
Yeah, this one really hits on that.
Not as good as Billie Holiday on a vocal level, but and this to me almost feels like it feels like she looked at Born to Die and was like, I could have done that better.
Yeah. This one,
and so return to that style and hit it out of the park.
Yeah, and the thing is like we mentioned when we got to Paradise, she drops a lot of those dance beats.
She drops the dance beats, and she drops, and I didn't notice this until today, she drops almost all of the dirtiness on this one.
Yeah, a lot of the dirtiness isn't here.
Like, you could almost play this record to an old person. And they if it weren't for certain F-bombs, they might not have an issue with it.
Definitely. And just the orchestration, man, the orchestral music.
Oh, yeah.
It just totally works. Fucking
her vocals on here are really good. I like that this is probably the most trip hop. I think.
Yeah, and in a weird way, like, it doesn't really sound like what the common idea of trip hop is.
Well, the sad thing about trip hop, and I've talked about this a lot with my friend Lee, who is very, very into, like, the Brit music of the 90s.
Yeah.
About how I will never understand why trip hop died out. Because that kind of light rock with, like, what the kind of hip-hop beats under it, like, in my mind, at least, that's the obvious place rock could have gone.
Yeah.
Is, do kind of what Gorillaz did. And kind of what Damon Albarn did. Add some hip-hop beats to your alt-rock and go move on from there.
Yeah.
And yet, for some reason, it just didn't happen. And so trip-hop is just this thing that's stuck in the 90s, for the most part. And so I love that an artist was making it sort of popular. And was doing something with it in the modern era.
Yeah, this... I really like when people use terms like Baroque pop and dream pop, because Baroque pop is a term that I hardly understand, and in a way it feels like, are you saying Baroque pop to sound smart with your genre labelings?
There are definitely shades of that, I'm sure. Like, you listen to the stuff that the term Baroque pop was created for. Like, you listen to some of the Beatles, like, mid-'60s stuff, and had sounds by the Beach Boys.
Yeah,
and certain Sinatra albums.
Animal Collective get thrown that a lot.
You will understand why Baroque pop is called that.
Yeah, Animal Collective get called it a lot, and whenever I hear Baroque pop, I normally think of Animal Collective's sound when I hear that label get thrown away. But when they say shit like melancholy dream pop, I'm like, I get it. I understand dream pop because, like you said, very shoegazy, very slow, very
sometimes puts you to sleep.
Yeah, it's very slow but very dynamic at the same time.
Oh, something I forgot to say about when you were saying that Born to Die is ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Lana Del Rey, I think, was the first significant pop star to figure out that you don't need big hooks to be successful.
Yeah, no big sing-along choruses.
Because I was noticing that because everybody blames Lorde for that. Like, if you watch, like, I think it's a Taught in the Shadows video about Halsey. He talks a lot about that. About how somewhere in 2015, 2016, pop producers figured out that you don't really need hooks. Which is why 2017 and 2018 were all about just droning female vocalists over minimalist electro beats.
Yeah.
But when I was listening to Pure Heroine and Melodrama, and, well, mostly Pure Heroine, I was noticing that it's almost that, but it has really good hooks.
Yeah. Yeah, because, like, a lot of people... Of course,
Melodrama is something completely different, but...
Yeah, Melodrama sounds like Pure Heroine, but with a little more juice, like...
And more hooks.
Yeah, way more hooks. And
but yeah, you know, Lana Del Rey, I think, is the first person who really figured that out and got successful with it.
yeah, because
You know,
like I can
her and maybe
rarely,
Drake.
huh?
Her and maybe Drake. I'm not sure what the chronology of that is because I'm not listening to Drake.
Yeah, I don't know a single thing that man has done.
But yeah. So the dark side of that is that, you know, 3 years later you get Halsey and all the rest, and that's just.
And I have no idea what Halsey is.
Imagine Lord, but without the intelligent lyrics and without the hooks.
Ah.
That's Halsey pretty much. But yeah, no, this one is I am pretty much the way you are with Ultraviolence with this one.
And I totally get
The whole thing is great. The only, you know, it's the title. I love the title track.
Yeah, Honeymoon, dude. The album starts off great.
Those orchestral bits, the
God.
vocals on that.
Your honeymoon.
I love Music to Watch Boys too. Terrence Loves You. I love how languid that is. Is that? I hope I'm using that right, but it's so slow, and it's like watching water fall down, like flow down like a channel that you've created. But then at the end, you get that, and I hope I'm remembering the song right. You get that part where it builds up, and you get that shout out to David Bowie.
Oh yeah. Is that the one where she? Ground control to Major Tom.
Yeah, that bit.
Yeah. Ground control to Major Tom.
That part is amazing. That justifies the rest of the song almost.
Yeah, dude, like, this is one that, because when I was getting all her stuff last year, I killed Born to Die, and I killed Ultraviolence, and Paradise, and this one I didn't listen to all that much until recently. And damn, you know, it's one that definitely deserves a reevaluation from me, because I listened to it just the other day and was like, damn, why do I not turn this one on all the time, man?
So I love High by the Beach.
Yeah, dude, High by the Beach is great.
So great.
I like
For whatever reason, I had heard God Knows I Tried at some point in 2015.
Yeah?
I don't know why, but I heard it. I didn't register that it was her, but when I played this for the first time, I was like, I know that song.
But yeah, I like that hook on High by the Beach, though. All I wanna do is get high by the beach, get high by the beach, get high.
Yeah, I love that hook, too. There are certain, like, I love Art Deco.
Yeah, dude, Art Deco is fucking cool. And what's sad is a lot of people don't know what Art Deco is. So they're like, oh,
yes.
what is this? I'm like, Art Deco is
it's an architectural style.
Yeah, that I miss. It is such a style that I fucking love, man. The Art Deco style of cars and buildings and stuff. Such a unique look that went away because of the whole sense of false luxury.
At World War II.
Yeah, World War II. Like, Art Deco is like the zoot suit of architecture. You know?
Yeah. Okay, so now that we've gotten onto the retro subject, which I knew we were going to get onto eventually, I actually expected it to come up sooner, but, you know, you let it happen, you let things flow naturally. this side of Lana Del Rey, the more retro classic pop style of Lana Del Rey, and this is going to be sacrilegious to a lot of people probably. So all 5 people who listen to this podcast will become offended. This style of Lana reminds me a lot of Tom Waits.
I totally fucking get you, man. Especially the pre Swordfish Trombone era, well, obviously.
Well, even the post, like, not the, obviously there's no, the weirdness isn't there except for some of the juxtapositions of this doesn't go there. But, I mean, just the idea that you're taking that old style and you're kind of dragging it into the present in such a way that it's like, what if hip-hop had been a thing when Frank Sinatra was making In the Wee Small Hours of the Morning?
Yeah, because you're right with even the post-Swordfish stuff, because I could see her doing something like Kiss Me Like a Stranger Again.
Yeah! Well, and Tom Waits posts a lot of his post-Swordfish Trombone stuff when he gets that bluesiness. It's almost, to me, it's like, what if rock and roll singer-songwriters had been a thing in the Depression?
Yeah.
And it's that kind of thing, and so it reminds me of that. You know, probably all the Lana Del Rey fans are going to be like, who the hell is Tom Waits? And all the Tom Waits fans are going to be like, how the hell can you compare Tom Waits to this?
Which is like, but for real, take this album and compare it to stuff like The Heart of Saturday Night. Very similar in the aesthetic and the sort of the real downtrodden nature of and depressing nature of some of the tracks and all of that. Like even like stuff like The Piano Is Drinking, you know, that.
Oh yeah.
That is that is something I think of when it comes to a lot of the Lana Del Rey stuff. Like I was saying, it's like her stuff isn't really celebrating that lifestyle. It's more like I'm addicted to it, but I can't leave it.
Well, it's like I'm almost surprised that more people haven't made that connection.
I didn't make but now that you brought it up,
it just seems natural to me. I mean, maybe I don't know. It seems a very natural connection to me, but who knows?
I totally get that. Watch, I'll say this to Zach, and he'll be like, "What the fuck?" Oh shit.
But yeah, so Art Deco is great. Burt Norton, I love how pretentious it is. Like she is doing something that she cannot pull off.
That's the interlude.
Where it's like an F. Scott Fitzgerald thing.
Yeah, it's so fucking cool.
Who, I love F. Scott Fitzgerald, but he is, like, you were talking about the basic bitch. F. Scott Fitzgerald is the basic bitch of American 20th century authors. Like, he's great, but he's the one that everybody who thinks they're super deep but aren't read heavily.
Yeah.
But then again, he inspired arguably the best Fleet Foxes album, so there's that, which I did not realize was connected until, like, literally last month.
And which Fleet Foxes album is that?
Crack Up.
Oh.
The whole album is kind of based around, like, an essay he wrote in, like, the last 2 years of his life.
Wow, I never knew that.
When everything had gone to pieces and his wife was in a mental institution and he was drinking himself to death.
The only way to go.
And the whole album, I guess, is based around that. And whatever the thematic thing is going on in that album is tied into that essay somehow.
Oh, fascinating.
Anyway, we got it whenever they put out a new album, we got to do a Fleet Foxes retrospective.
I know, because, like, I want to do one so bad, but 3 albums is so not long enough.
I mean, we could also talk about those 3 albums for, like, an hour each, so...
Yeah, that is true.
That's the hard thing. But, yeah, I love Bert Norton because it's something that she probably should not be able to pull off, and she doesn't quite pull it off, but it comes across as so ridiculous to me that it does work.
Let me play a little bit of this Bert Norton so I can get a context, because I'm sort of blanking.
Perpetual possibility, only in a world of speculation.
Okay, I remember it now. Yeah, it's the one that it reminds me of Enigma.
Yeah, and it reminds me of, like, Gong.
Yeah, Gong,
Like,
Enigma, and dare I fucking say Enya.
This is what it feels like to be old, Billy.
This is what it feels like to be old, Billy. Yeah, it sounds like a meditation album, you know?
That
Some new
South
age
Park
shit.
reference, you gotta figure Enya has got to be so sick of that South Park reference. I mean, I love it, though, because it's like, how brutal can you be to be like, your music sounds like getting old and dying?
Oh my god, but I mean, I guess you would die very peacefully.
Yeah, I guess so. I love religion is really religion and The Blackest Day are like the closest this album I think ever gets to like the dirtiness.
Yeah.
And even then it's like it's more like innuendo than outright saying it, like when I'm down on my knees you're how I pray.
Yeah, like, and I'm not gonna lie, I like it when it's more just out in the open.
I like it better too. Or like the backing vocals in The Blackest Day, that bit where it's like deeper and harder.
Yeah, because you get a lot of women that do sing like that and write lyrics like that, but a lot of times it's in like the girl punk bands or, you know, just heavier stuff.
Yeah.
But you never hear those outright dirty lyrics from somebody with very lush orchestral backings, you know?
Yeah. That is definitely true.
It's almost like Nancy Sinatra being like, "Daddy, fuck me in the back." Oh my god. It's like if Sinead O'Connor, you know, was singing about getting fucked in the back of a movie theater.
Yeah. Oh, well, that just reminds me of I forget, You Ought to Know by Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's allegedly about one of the dudes from Full House.
Yeah, Dave Coulier.
Who was with her when she was like a teenager and he was like 30.
Yeah.
And there was a comment I saw on that song that's like, you pissed somebody off when they're willing to publicly admit the fact that they went down on you in public when you were 30 and they were underage.
Yeah, that's very very creepy.
You made that person angry.
Very creepy, especially coming off of Dave Coulier when he talks about, you know, back when people were having like countdown websites for when the Olsen twins would be of age, and it would piss Dave Coulier off so much. Like, I knew them when they were little girls, and I'm like, well, you also knew Alanis Morissette when she was a little girl, so shut the fuck up, bro.
Well,
allegedly.
On that very disturbing note, the one, like, as with just about every Lana Del Rey album, maybe not the new one, but with almost everyone, there's a track that makes me laugh.
Yeah?
And on this one, it's Freak.
Yeah, Freak is fucking cool.
I love the music. I love most of the lyrics, it's probably the song of hers that makes me laugh, but also it's one of the rare moments where I'm like, what? It's obviously the whole message of the song is come to California, be a freak with me, and then the line we can slow dance to rock music and kiss while we do it. And I'm like, oh yes, Lana, that is such a freaky thing to be doing.
Right? Yeah, like, that is so not freaky. Now, if you were at a BDSM club...
It fits that, like, idea of, like, someone who is what somebody who has no experience thinks being dirty is.
Oh, yeah.
It comes across that way. I don't know that that's how it's supposed to come across, but that's one meaning you can pull out of it.
Yeah, like it's, like in a way it's sort of on purpose.
Yeah, you could make that argument. And then the only thing I don't like about the album that I think is weird is that it ends on this really weird note, because you have Swan Song, and Swan Song is like a perfect album opener. Like, it feels like it should be an album opener. It has that sort of gravitas to it.
Yeah.
And then she goes into this completely random cover of Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I always call that like the closing credits, because something like Swan Song sort of ends the album so perfectly that Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood is a bonus, you know, where I'm like...
It feels like she just did like what people used to do in the 90s, where, you know, it would be like, here's our big closing song, 20 minutes of dead air.
Yeah.
Here's a random hidden thing.
Here's the hidden track.
But it feels like she just cut out the 20 minutes of dead air.
Yeah.
Which is for the better, because that takes up space.
Yeah, I'm a bigger fan of when they were doing hidden tracks, when they stopped with the dead air and just had it as a separate track but unlisted, you know? Because fucking, I get annoyed when I'm playing an album and then you hit that dead air for like 30 fucking minutes. That annoys me, but it was cool at the time. It was really cool at the time. But the other one that really annoys me, especially in today's world, is when it would be like 99 tracks and track 99 would be the hidden one.
Desync all of those manually.
Yeah, when I go to put it on the computer and rip it, I have to go through so many unclick.
And so many people did that.
Oh, it's so, yeah, so fucking...
So many people did that. Well, I don't know how far you got into buying the Flaming Lips. The Flaming Lips have a hidden track where it's an untitled track, and I'm pretty sure it's a troll, because it's 20 minutes of like that noise industrially for like 23 minutes.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah, you gotta love that kind of shit.
That is Honeymoon. It is. I think it's probably this and the end. Norman fucking Rockwell are her best album covers to me, I think.
Yeah, this one is a lot more interesting than...
Because like I was saying about how you could argue, like, there's an arc from Lust to Life, or not Lust for Life, Born to Die to this. Like, Born to Die, she's poor, living with a bum on New York City. Ultraviolence, she dumps the bum, screws her way to the top, and then drives to California. And this album is California.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I ever talk about, if we ever do that Fleet Foxes retro, I have a very similar theory about the first, or very similar idea about the first three Fleet Foxes albums.
Sweet.
You know, it's a whole progression to the ocean and whatnot. But yeah, so I don't really have anything left to say about this album. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this one is another masterpiece. It like you said, she looked at Born to Die and was like, I can do this better. And she damn sure did. And another favorite track is Salvatore. I love that one.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Soft ice cream. Like, But yeah, I pretty much said everything I could say.
Yeah, so after that,
So what do you rate this one?
I personally rate this. I rate this a 9. I rate it the same, maybe a 9.5, but probably a 9. Same, pretty much same as Ultraviolence. It's just that I put this one on more.
Ah.
She had a run going for a while where her albums were pretty even, but that changed. Now I feel like we need to talk about what happened to music in between 2015 and 2017.
Totally. This album I can give another 10.
Yeah.
Same reasons like with Ultraviolet, but with a different aesthetic. She just sort of perfects that Born to Die sound and really excels with it. But yeah, so what happened with music in between 15 and 17?
Well, it's like we were saying, like, probably about an hour ago. 2014 and 2015 are kind of like the 97 of the 2010s. They're confused.
Trying
they
to
didn't
figure
really know
out
what was going on.
Yeah.
It was a new direction that ultimately wound up not really panning out.
Yeah, trying to figure out what the next big style was, the next thing that's going to be shoved down people's throats for the next 5 to 6 years.
And they got this on this kick where the only way I can describe it is that the top 40 chart pop, it got artsier, it got less hooky, and the albums got better. And there was this thing for a couple years, like if you listen to actually a very similar artist, Marina and the Diamonds album from 2015, it's kind of that same thing. Better pop, little on the artsier side, but mostly it was just that pop artists actually started having their albums be good.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like 3 singles and whatever else we did that day.
Yeah, and see what's crazy is I missed a lot of it.
Oh, I missed a lot of it too. And if I hadn't been with someone at the time, I would have missed even more of it. But you also had like hip hop was blowing up massively. I mean, that was when Kendrick put out like the biggest hip hop album of the decade.
The Butterfly.
Yeah, that's a really good album. Blur came back.
Yeah, they did.
And that album is Blur by numbers, but it has some tracks that are great. Like what trips me out is there are parts of it that sound just like the Now Now and that new Good, the Bad, and the Queen.
Which I still got to get that Good, Bad, and the Queen.
Which is trippy because it was like mostly the guitarist with Damon Albarn like popping in to say like, oh, maybe this, maybe that, and that the guitarist made it sound like it was a Damon Albarn project.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that happened. Sufjan Stevens put out a great album. Marilyn Manson put out the only good thing he's done in the last 10 years. Father John Misty, of all people, made a really touching album about his wife.
Yeah, are you talking about Honey Bear?
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing about Honey Bear is that when I got it and I listened to it, and I assume it was the same for you, we didn't realize just how out of character that is for him.
Yeah, I had no clue about him when I bought that.
Like his persona is he's a bitter dick who thinks he's smarter than everybody else, and he's making an album about his wife.
Yeah. I only bought that based on the album cover, and I before I bought it, because I'm like, I don't do blind buys anymore. I looked it up on Wikipedia, and I'm like, whoa, this guy played drums for Fleet Foxes? Well, I'll check it out. And I was like, damn, this is really fucking good.
I blind bought his new one, because I was going to get the new Flaming Lips, and they didn't have it. And so I was a little annoyed, but I'm like, I'm not going to walk away empty-handed.
Yeah.
So I bought his new one, and I wound up falling in love with it. Like, I was blown away that he made, like, a couple, because of his persona, he made a couple songs that actually made me feel something, and I was like, damn.
You talking about,
God's Favorite Customer?
Yeah, that one really fucking good.
It's just dumb enough to try, and the title track, for some reason, just connected with me, but...
What I like about God's Favorite Customer is, because I absolutely love pure comedy, because just the massive amount of shit he's talking about the world.
That album is so mean to everyone.
Yeah, just the amount of shit he's talking about to the world and everyone around him. But when you get to God's Favorite Customer, I love that one because it's almost like he's talking a lot of shit about himself. It
seems like he had some issues with in between those two albums. And so there's a part of me that's like, you talked shit about a lot of different things. Maybe the universe kind of smacked you down a little bit. But yeah, he happened. A lot of different things happened, and then the whole poptimism thing. We gotta treat pop as a serious art form happened, and then that peaked, and then somewhere in 2016, it all went wrong, and there was what I call the crash, where that train I was talking about earlier of like really smart pop, really good pop, smashed into a brick wall and exploded. And what was left over was your trap, which is not always bad, but which gets old when it's the only hip-hop on the radio.
Yeah. Mumble rap.
And your trap and your, as I said earlier, really drony, hookless pop music. And the other thing that we really have to talk about, because it's why Lust for Life is the way it is, somewhere in there in like mid to late 2016, pop itself stopped being super successful.
And that is true.
And that's why, like, if you looked at like the charts for like the first 3 months of this year, it was like all pop, or no, it was not all pop, all hip hop and like one token pop artist.
Yeah.
And this whole year has kind of been like hip hop and R&B and Billie Eilish.
Yeah. And thankfully,
like, that's how this year has been. But that's why all these artists started putting rappers on their pop songs.
Yeah, and it's so bad.
I mean, to be fair, they've been doing it before. Like, I remember when I found out, because it was a single, it wasn't on the album, there's apparently a Taylor Swift song that Kendrick Lamar is on. And I was like, what? But Kendrick Lamar, I respect that because he's picking up the Snoop Dogg torch.
Yeah.
I will be on anything if you give me a paycheck.
Yeah.
And that's a hip hop tradition, so I respect that.
True that.
But yeah, Lust for Life.
Lust for Life. This album cover. She looks like a fucking hick. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like, not the stereotypical hick, but it looks like something from back in the day when most of your sitcoms were very rural based, like Green Acres, fucking Beverly Hillbillies, Andy Griffith Show, when it looks like it comes out of that. Like, this looks like it could be something from the...
So not actually a hick, but like 60s suburbanites' opinion of what a hick looked like.
Exactly. Like, this is definitely what was God? Was it Ellie Mae on
I don't remember.
Beverly Hillbillies?
Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's that kind of hot Southern chick look, with the flowers in her hair, the little sundress.
See, I get something completely different from this.
And then she's smiling. She's so happy.
Rich city dweller who goes to Coachella and thinks they're woke.
Yeah, dude, I totally get that too.
Smokes weed one time and like thinks they've achieved spiritual communion with the outer beings.
Yeah, that definitely is. Oh man, I'm gonna put flowers in my hair. I'm such a hippie. When a week before
when
that,
my husband runs a tech startup that poisons the atmosphere.
I'm gonna spend every day at Coachella this year.
And so I assume that what I was just talking about is why, like, just about every track on this album has a feature on it.
And, man, a lot of the features are so lame.
Like, I like The Weeknd on here.
Yeah, because I like that song. I like Lust for Life. But I'm not familiar with who The Weeknd are. So... He's like a modern R&B kind of dude. I've never actually heard... Oh, no, he did the I Can't Feel My Face When I'm With You song. So I don't even know that.
You probably do know it.
Yeah, if I'd heard it, I'd probably be like, oh, okay, I know this. But, yeah, I mean,
Stevie Nicks is on here.
Which is rad, because I do like Stevie Nicks.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've got Sean Lennon. Sean Lennon's on here, which is really cool. But I think the shit that ruins this album... well, not really, but... Well, what kind of ruins what would be a really good album for me is Summer Bummer and Groupie Love. Like, those songs are good to me, but A$AP Rocky is such a lame motherfucker that...
Yeah, was he the one? Because the difficult thing is there's two A$AP rockers.
Yeah, and it's the same guy on both tracks. Back to back.
No, I mean, like, in the hip-hop scene, there are two rappers who have A$AP as a prefix.
Yeah.
As a prefix.
Yeah,
and one of them is the one who just spent some time in prison in Sweden for beating a dude.
Yeah, I think that's the same guy here, A$AP Rocky.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't think the song is good even without him.
Without him, though, I could probably tolerate him better.
I don't think Lana Del Rey really I don't think the way she writes songs lends itself to rappers being on her tracks.
That is definitely true.
Like, you can have, like, and don't get me wrong, you know, you can have a bad song with rapping on it that is where the rapping is the best thing on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that god-awful Maroon 5 song from last year.
Wow, I didn't even know they had a song last year.
I'm not a big fan of Cardi B, but she is the best thing on that song. Oh, dude, be happy you don't know about that song. That song is god-awful.
I just can't believe Maroon 5 is still churning out hits.
I couldn't either. That was my thought as well when I found out about that.
Because, like, a couple years after that, it's getting harder and harder to breathe. That's them, right?
I don't know.
Because, like, I thought a couple years after the big, like, 2003, 2004 song they did, I thought they were just one-hit wonders. Then all of a sudden, boom. Like, what?
I didn't connect with that at all because the only thing I could think of is I think it's a Nine Inch Nails track where it's like, it's getting hard, me. That's all I could think
of. Do that again, dude. That shit was fucking hilarious.
No, I can't do it again. My voice.
That was amazing.
I probably need to get some water pretty quick, but I can't do that again. Now, dude, they've been making hits all through the 2010s, and I just do not understand it.
I don't either.
Like,
Wow.
who's buying it?
For real, like it must be, you know,
Moms, presumably,
yeah, people my age, women my age who,
think Adam Levine is attractive.
yeah, who were like, you know, teenagers when they first came out, and you know, now they're moms and shit, and it's something they can get down to when they have their mimosas with their girlfriends.
Yeah, so this album, to tell you the truth, even without the rap tracks, it's kind of what you were saying about Honeymoon. With this album, I get to those two hip hop tracks, but even then, I kind of like zone out through the middle of Cherry. The only thing I love about Cherry is I love that in the background of the chorus, there's just unnecessary swearing. Like and it's like the line, "all of my peaches," and then the background, "bitch."
Yeah, what the fuck?
I love that in there. It's just so unnecessary, but it's great.
Like, I think this album has some really strong tracks that it opens up. I love that track with,
Yeah, Love is great.
All You Kids with your,
such a great pop song.
All You Kids with your vintage music, and then the gunshot in the background. I love the gunshot during the chorus.
Yeah.
It's so out of nowhere, but fucking totally works.
Yeah, Love is great. Lust for Life is just an amazing pop song. You know, half of this album is what I was talking about. It's like her take on that, like, better top 40 music.
Yeah, because I really like the Coachella song, Woodstock in My Mind. But I mean,
The thing I love, or not the thing I love, and the one of the things I was actually thinking about is that I would love, you know how you could argue that she kind of went back to Born to Die and then did Honeymoon with the aspects of that. You could take the concept of this album and do something similar with that. Of do this style again, but do it right this time.
yeah.
Which sounds way too harsh, but like I do hope she does more in this vein, because I think she seems to be someone who doesn't always hit things out of the park the first time.
Yeah.
Which is not. I mean, you could argue maybe that's because she releases so much stuff, but at least like when you release stuff the way she does, if an album is kind of a disappointment, you don't have to wait that long.
Yeah, that's true. But this album also like has like some of the last few tracks are really good to me. Like I really like Tomorrow Never Came, Heroin, Change, and Get Free. Like which is the one that rips off Radiohead? Is it?
I don't know.
I gotta look here. Damn it. Where are you?
Get Free?
It might be, because I know it's one of them last tracks. But I love the shit out of that track, too.
Oh, I definitely hear that, though.
Oh, the,
I just listened to it again, and I definitely hear... It's not so much like the chorus of Creep as it is the verses.
Yeah, because it follows that.
It's the like.
I'm
I want a
weird
perfect body.
Yeah.
I want a perfect whatever the rest part of that song is.
Yeah,
that part of Creep
definitely follows that melody.
It's not the but I'm a creep.
Yeah, that's not in there. But
Honestly, that would be Creep is one of the, if I could, I would love to do like a Mr. Bungle style butchered covers album. Like that one concert they did where they just butcher Under the Bridge.
Oh yeah.
Like do that to an entire do an entire cover album like that, and one of those songs would be Creep. You there? Hello? I think you cut out for a while.
Yeah, I had to step away for a second. Oh, but yeah, man, it's like this album is... there are parts that are really good, and there are parts that are really bland. And...
That is the truth, and that's what I was talking about. Is like it is too long.
Yeah, 71 minutes.
It's an hour and 11 minutes long, and it is too long.
And it had me a little worried about Norman fucking Rockwell.
Yes.
Because I was like, man, I really hope she doesn't really do this again. So I didn't listen, because she dropped a lot of songs before Norman fucking Rockwell came out. And I refused to listen to any. I was like, I'm going to go in blind. Except for when the Doing Time cover came out. I listened to about a minute of that because I was almost sure it wasn't going to be on the album.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether she was going to do, like, the B-side thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get around to listening to any of it until a week before the release. And then at that point, the curiosity of what does a 10-minute song by Lana Del Rey sound like?
Right.
Finally got to me, and I was like, I gotta find out.
But this one, man, I don't have really much else to say except for what I've already said. I mean,
yeah, I don't have a lot to say about it either. I rate it like it's like a 6.5.
Yeah, definitely, straight up 6. To me, her weakest album, and sadly, because there's a lot of great tracks on there. But if you shave a lot of the garbage on here, you'd have another decent Paradise.
Well, what I was gonna say is like that there were two sides of the coin with going into the new one. Where on the one hand, I was like, it could be like this again. On the other hand, it could be like I said, sort of perfecting this.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, she threw that out of the way completely and did something that is honestly it's pretty much more like just like a more chill version of Ultraviolence.
Yeah, I totally get that. Norman fucking Rockwell is a very piano-heavy album.
Yeah. Piano and acoustic guitar.
Yeah, I really dig the sound on this album.
And it's fascinating because this is the moment when, even though she's been getting decent reviews for years now, Lust for Life, I think, got like an 8 from Pitchfork. Like, it actually got higher than Honeymoon and Ultraviolence did, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But that was when, like, Pitchfork changed hands in, I think, like, 2015 or 2016. And they completely shifted their editorial line entirely. Like, that's why I make that mean joke in that Sufjan Stevens video about they went from music is only real music if it's made by Washington men with beards to Cardi B had the #1 album of the year, Slay Queen, in the span of 4 years. And that is the most jarring thing to me. Like, I don't even disagree with either of those stances. It's just so jarring. So, but they gave Norman fucking Rockwell a 9.5.
Which
so Pitchfork.
I can get by though. I can totally dig that.
I can get behind that too. But this seems to be her moment. Like, this is where she is finally like transcending what people thought of her and becoming like a genuinely like critically respected, somebody who's going to be looked at in 20 years time, and stupid kids are going to be like, wow, I wish I lived in the 2010s.
Yeah. I definitely get that with... This is, this whole album, man, is one of the best albums of the year I've heard so far. This is definitely...
Oh, yeah. Like, I have heard a lot of good stuff this year.
Top 5 all the way for me.
Yeah, probably.
Just the... Because it's still got a lot of that downtrodden... Like, her shit hasn't changed all that much, basically. But, like, take something like the title track, to start a line off with, "Goddamn you, man-child." Like, she's talking shit about how, his interests are somewhere else, but he fucks good. It's very much in a similar vein of video games, but in a way she kind of wants to stick around because he fucks good. But
that line that I almost said I love you.
Yeah.
That line. Yeah, it's a really, really, really good album. It's definitely top 5. I don't know where it's gonna be top 5 in the end of year list.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot in the year of end list.
Yeah, and there's still shit coming out that I've got to get.
Oh yeah.
Like a new Baby Metal.
Yeah, what?
A new Baby Metal.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to the new Dead South album coming out in October.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to The Who, the H-U. That fucking Mongolian metal band with the throat singing. Their album's dropping next week, I believe. And totally looking forward to that. But
so this album, the whole album is, it's another one. You don't need to skip a track.
Yeah.
Mariner's Apartment Complex is great. Her cover of Doing Time
it is great.
Probably the best Sublime cover I've ever heard, because
definitely
people don't cover Sublime well.
They don't. And
Sublime, I will give you, Sublime are a band where, they get bashed a lot by people my age. And a lot of that is, I think, that they got overplayed a lot, and that can, if you weren't there in the moment and nostalgic for that, maybe that can get old, I think.
Yeah.
I know I have heard What I Got altogether too many times in my relatively short life.
Yeah.
Like if you played, the wrong way, maybe that would be better, or, some of their others, or some of the stuff from, Robin the Hood, that would be one thing, but...
Yeah. Robin the Hood is one of those, there's no commercial potential.
No.
But it is so good.
Whatsoever.
It is so fucking good. And 40 Ounce, man, there's so much good shit on 40 Ounce. I'm a massive Sublime fan, and I highly recommend checking out Brad's son, his band, Law, L-A-W. Really fucking good. Really fucking good. If I've been looking at the wrong place for my Sublime fix by buying all this garbage Sublime with Rome. When I found out about Law, I was like, oh my god, thank you. He channels his dad a lot, but has his own thing, but it's still that West Coasty sort of reggae ska thing going on, but man, it's so fucking good. It is as good as his dad, and they need way more attention.
Well, the thing about this, the other thing about the Doing Time cover is that, so when one song later you get to Cinnamon Girl, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a Neil Young cover.
I want to live with a cinnamon girl. I could
That's
be
the
happy
typo
the
negative
rest of
version
my
of,
life
of
with
that
her.
song.
Like, dude, the only version of that song that exists to me is the typo version. Like, that's the best version to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the typo version of Cinnamon Girl.
For some reason, that one always blends together to me with the my girlfriend's girl.
It does. There's a very overlap with those two, but that I just love the way the riff sounds.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
They did good covers.
Yeah, they're one of them few bands which a couple years ago, or maybe this year, God, was it Trivium? Some lame metal band did a cover of their one of the tracks off of Life Is Killing Me, and they, it was just so by numbers, nothing interesting, and I'm like, well, I could just listen to the typo version and get my fix, but it tripped me out because it was like, so a lame metal band does a very by numbers cover of a band who, when they would do a cover, they made them distinctly theirs. So I'm like, are you trying to pay tribute to their sound, or are you trying to pay tribute to them as artists? Because if you were paying tribute to them as artists, you would have made it your own, instead of just made it sound like you were playing this during a practice section.
Yeah.
But
And then for some reason, like a lot of these song titles just make me think of other band songs, like How to Disappear. For some reason, all I could think of is How to Disappear Completely.
yeah, but back on Doing Time, I think the reason her version works so well is because she's obviously doing it in the Lana Del Rey style. But the Lana Del Rey style has a massive California vibe to it, to a lot of it. And I think that's...
the crazy thing is it doesn't even really sound like Sublime.
Yeah, exactly. Like
it does, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking, it doesn't even sound like anything Sublime would write the way she does it.
Exactly. Like, you can listen to it. If you're familiar with Sublime, you're like, yeah, this is definitely a Sublime song. But she does it in her style so well that you can forget the Sublime version and be like, damn, man, like it's one of those great covers that doesn't, like, it's as good as the original and just doesn't suck. But back on what you were saying with songs that sound like other bands, yeah. California, so many artists have a song just called California. It's not even funny.
I gotta take a call, so.
Right on. Take that call. But yeah, back on what does a almost 10-minute long Lana Del Rey song sound like? Venice Bitch is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing, and you know the funny thing, and you're gonna have to go and listen to this track, but I listened to that track the day it came out. I listened to it once, like a week before, but then I as soon as I got up that morning, I was like, I'm gonna listen to this new Lana Del Rey album, and when afterwards, that entire day, walking around San Antonio, I had the track Caramel by Blur stuck in my head.
Ah.
And the reason for that is that, let me bring up the track listing for 13. Caramel is 7 or so minutes long. And it's the same thing of this kind of weird guitar while never actually changing, except for one moment in the middle where it gets kind of fast. And it's on the 13 Blur album, where they got kind of weird and artsy after Damon Albarn had a breakup.
Yeah.
So listen to that when you're done with this, and you'll probably see what I'm talking about. But yeah, no, and I was blown away by Venice Bitch because it's so shoegazy.
Yeah, it's shockingly good for somebody who doesn't normally do incredibly long songs. I think, she rarely peaks over the 5.5 minute mark.
Yeah.
And for her to do one that's almost 10 minutes long that doesn't get boring, and what's crazy is there's still not a lot going on in the song, but
No,
it keeps your interest the entire duration, and you don't feel the length at all.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. Yeah, it's now I believe I'm gonna have to look this up. I believe this is a Jack Antonoff production. And Antonov is like, I'm pretty sure Jack Antonov is going to wind up, and I hope I'm saying his name right. Antonov is going to wind up being, to this era of pop, what Timbaland was to the late 2000s, or maybe the Neptunes were. I mean, no, they were connected. Or like Nile Rodgers was in the 80s and the 70s.
Oh.
Like, he is like the super producer.
Yeah, you think he's going to be like one of those.
Melodrama was one of his.
Okay.
He also produced, I believe he also produced that 2017 St. Vincent album.
Okay, so you think he's going to be one of those go-to guys?
I don't know if he's going to be, well, he is one of those go-to guys, but I think he's going to be one of those people who is probably, I think his sound is going to be extremely associated with this moment in time.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
I think we're going to think of him, we are going to think of him when we think of the late 2010s pop in the same way that you think of Timbaland for the 2000s, and apparently also those people that Korn for some reason thought it would be a good idea to make an album with.
Yeah, The Matrix. Ugh.
I would love to know what the reasoning behind that was. I mean, like, why are you? Is Korn gonna be making top 40 pop now? Like, why did they even do that?
Yeah, that was a very lame point in the, one of the many lame points in the discography of Korn. But yeah, so he's somebody that we could possibly be looking back on, like with Danger Mouse.
Oh yeah, Danger Mouse. That's who I was thinking of. Yeah. Oh yeah.
One of those producers where the producer is as well known as the artist he works with, like a Rick Rubin, who is also on this album.
Exactly.
A Phil Spector, but
Phil Spector, who doesn't kill people.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a couple. He's worked on certain Taylor Swift albums. He did an album with St. Vincent. He's did Melodrama with Lord. He's a hot commodity right now. And but what weirds me out, and what weirds me out about pop, and it weirds me out even more about hip hop, is that it is very, very rare that you will have a hip hop album where the production is handled entirely by one person.
Yeah, that is very rare.
Like, and I think, like, the only times I can really think of it are, like, certain albums back in the 90s before things were established as much.
Yeah.
But, yeah. No, yeah, the whole album is really good. I think really like the next best Great American Record. Or no, yeah, the next best American Record.
Yeah, I dig that.
Like it's another one where, you know, the whole record is a solid listen. And the funny thing about it, you know, I was not feeling Lana Del Rey when this came out.
Yeah.
It's not that I was disliking it, but I was just not in a place where, we've talked about this before, how you go through like kicks of like one music and another music.
Yeah, you were just not in the mood to hear any.
Well, I was listening to like early post rock.
Wow,
like a lot of that stuff, like, but not like the Godspeed You Black Emperor post rock where it's like for 25 minutes at a time.
Like maybe some Mogwai.
Like more like the last two Talk albums, like Bark Psychosis, Disco Inferno, that kind of. Tortoise.
Yeah, Tortoise is rad. Pelican.
Yeah, it was that older style when it was more experimental.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, maybe the way I would put it. I mean, Disco Inferno has some stuff that almost sounds like what if Animal Collective had been British men in the 90s. But, so I was not in the mood. I was not in the right mood for a new Lana Del Rey album, and I still thought it was like a 9. Which I think really speaks for the album.
Yeah. Because what's funny is I had this and the new Tool pre-ordered. They both came in on the same day. And I can say that I've listened to the Lana Del Rey more than the Tool, but I've actually been listening to the Tool every night when I go to bed. Like I turn it on with my headphones. And so in a way I've kind of listened to them equally, but man, like I make them joke posts on Facebook with the, oh man, I love the new Tool album, but that Lana Del Rey is fire. But I mean, yeah, it's a phenomenal album to me, man. I really dig the shit out of it.
I wonder what like 2005 Travis would say about that.
Yeah, now 2005 Travis was fucking Hot Topic goth. I only listen to industrial metal Travis. So he would be talking all kinds of shit about 2019 Travis. He would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man?
You sold out, man.
Yeah, you fucking sell out. But at the same time, you know, there was stuff I liked at the time, too, that, you know, did not fit my Hot Topic goth aesthetic. I mean, you know, I was still an Enya fan then, but I wasn't telling anybody.
I don't remember whether it was you or somebody else who said something once about nowadays when you walk past Hot Topic, it's like, that once was mine.
Yeah, it used to be mine. I remember the day all the kids that me and my buddies made fun of were all up in there, and I was like, wow, a week ago you were wearing Hollister and Abercrombie and Fitch, and now you're in Trip Gear? Fuck off, bitch.
Morgan Freeman voiceover, and thus the cycle of goth continues.
Yeah. Yeah, because everybody who eventually goes down that route came from something that wasn't. So, like, even me, you know, but fuck.
So yeah, how would you rate Norman fucking Rockwell?
10 all the way.
Yeah, it's gonna be another 9 from me.
Another 10 with, so that's like 3 10s out of her discography.
3 10s for you, 3 9s or 8 5s depending on the day. And the other stuff is between 6 and 7.
Yeah.
So on the whole, I give her discography I give it an 8, honestly.
Yeah, as a whole, definitely an 8. Because even with Lust for Life having as many low points, it's got some really good highs. And
Yeah.
even like the small low points on Born to Die, there are more highs than lows, and
Definitely.
and then with the power of Ultraviolence, Honeymoon, and this one, definitely brings it all up.
Yeah. Yeah, she's someone who I am very interested to see where she goes in the future.
Yeah, like what's she gonna be doing in 10, 15 years?
Yeah, exactly. She's had a pretty good run in the last 10 or so years. You know, and it's not the bad. She's definitely not for everyone. I don't mean that in the pretentious, like, this music isn't for everyone sense, but in the, some people get bored by this kind of music, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, some people really need their pop tracks to have tons and tons of hooks, and Lana Del Rey is not somebody who really does that.
Yeah, people want the dance beats, and some people want the hooks and very sing-along, kind of good feeling stuff. And you're right.
Honestly, I'm almost more interested to see where Lord goes from here.
Yeah, because melodrama I like a lot, but it is not
underperformed.
Yeah, it underperformed heavily, and so I think Lord's gonna forever be she's just gonna be the Royals girl, and that's a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame because she's really talented, and so I'm wondering and kind of hoping maybe she gets a little weird.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, unless she pulls unless she pulls like a. I can't think of anybody at the moment, but it's happened before. You know, a pop star has looked like a one-hit wonder, and then they've come back and been the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah, seriously.
Radiohead actually kind of did that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though there were hits on the bands.
Yeah.
You know, they still went from being a one-hit wonder to, like, putting out, like, a massive album.
Mm-hmm.
And she might have that in her. You know, it's hard to say.
And I kind of like, with what Kesha has been fucking with lately, like, I hate her shit from when she first came out. But that album, the Rainbow album, is a good, half-good album. And then her What If Rich White Straight Men Didn't Rule the World No More song is fucking amazing. Like, have you heard that?
Yeah.
It's almost like something Amanda Palmer would do. Like, it's very theatrical, very cabaret. And I'm like, man, you could so be cool as fuck if you did more of this.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, I'm glad that Kesha has looked at it and said, you know, my moment is over. I am not getting back up at this point. Probably similarly, I will forever be the wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy person.
God. Yeah.
And so I'm just gonna do what I want to do.
Yeah, and I hope she does follow that trend of I'm just gonna do some cool shit. I mean, for her to do 2 tracks with the Eagles of Death Metal and both of them were awesome on her last album, like, damn, man,
Well, it's like it's really depressing with her because she almost was what Miley Cyrus kind of became.
Well, are you talking about when
With
Miley
the-
Cyrus got wild?
Well, I mean, working with the Flaming Lips.
Yeah, she almost did, man, and that would have been rad.
She was, you know, if the whole Dr. Luke thing hadn't gone down,
Yeah.
you know, that could have been different. And it's depressing because I think at the end of the day, Kesha is probably the more talented between Miley Cyrus and herself.
Yeah, because the only good thing Miley Cyrus ever did was that album with the Flaming Lips. And, like, even...
We were actually talking about that just the other day, me and a friend, about how a lot of people wrote off that album without ever even listening to it.
Yeah.
And strictly speaking, it's not a good album, but you shouldn't write it off only because it's like, the Flaming Lips with Miley Cyrus. That's bad.
Like, I think it's a really cool album. I mean, it's a long piece of work, but man.
And you all recorded a long video about it.
Yeah, I was drunk as piss and
spinning around in the chairs.
Yeah. I don't even think we talked about that album all that much on that. But
yeah, I remember I watched that video of yours. One of the times I put it on in the background. This is when it came out. When I was commuting to college, and I remember eventually I just turned it off. It was like, what? What was this?
Yeah.
But that happens.
Yeah, like that was.
Sam and I did a movie review like that once, where I ultimately scrapped it, and I was like, I can't put this on the internet because we just got drunk and talked shit about other things that were not the movie. So it happens.
Yeah, I don't mind going off topic, man, but sometimes if off topic takes up an hour of your video,
you need to start again.
Yeah, you need to sober up and start again. But I mean, yeah, all right. So Lana Del Rey, definitely worth checking out. The new album is awesome. Go pick it up.
Yeah, the new album is probably a good entry point. Ultraviolence is a good entry point.
Mm-hmm.
Born to Die even is kind of a good entry point.
Yeah, I would say so.
Born to Die is interesting because it's like it has like her strengths and weaknesses like are all there.
Yeah.
So you listen to Born to Die, you get an idea of what she does well, and you get an idea of what she doesn't do well.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's something to be said for that.
And yeah, like it was definitely my introduction, and it pulled me in enough to check them all out. But yeah, Norman fucking Rockwell, man.
That was a what?
I don't know.
So that was the podcast in which you have heard two grown men talk about Lana Del Rey for almost 3 hours.
Yeah, wow.
We will be back probably with the next Zappacast, unless we procrastinate again and decide we don't really want to have to deal with all the Spreckenstimme. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm off of work till the 16th of September, so we could easily finish the Zappacast and get that out of the way.
Yeah, we could easily do that. So I'll get on listening to those Zappa albums, and I'll let you know when I'm available.
Yeah, me too.
I'm definitely not available the 9th, but that's so far the only time I can think of.
Right on. Hell
so,
yeah.
Yes.
So
I'm gonna.
We will see you guys later.
Exactly. Yup.